Discover how a Duke's heartwarming change revealed an unexpected love that changed everything. In the small town of Millstone, where everyone knew one another's business, Jack had found himself at a crossroads. As a mechanic running his father's shop, he wore the weight of his family's dreams on his shoulders. His wife, Sarah, with her warm smile, and their 2 kids, their laughter like music, reminded him every day of what he was working for. Yet, hard times seemed to plague him, creeping in like shadows, bills piling high, dreams slipping further away. Then came the harvest festival, the heartbeat of Millstone. The scent of corn and pumpkin filled the air, the sweet sound of laughter echoing through the streets. It was a time of joy, a time of gathering. But this year, little did they know how everything would change. Duke William, a man shrouded in whispers and luxury, entered their small world when his sleek, expensive car broke down right outside Jack's shop. Jack, knee-deep in grease, didn't he expect to see someone like William here in their quaint town, among a community so tied to values of simplicity? Yet, as he stepped out into the sunlight, the 2 men found themselves face to face. At first, there was an awkward silence, both their lives starkly contrasting. Jack, a humble mechanic, and William, with a lineage that echoed in the annals of history. "Can you help?" William asked, a hint of desperation in his voice that brought Jack's heart closer to him, transcending the barriers of wealth. And help he did, not just out of obligation, but from a spark of connection. They spent hours together, their conversation flowing like the fresh breeze. Over steaming bowls of Sarah's legendary chili, they shared laughs and stories, revealing layers of vulnerability hidden beneath their facades. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But soon, the murmurs began. Jack's friends whispered behind his back, their faces twisted with concern. Was he losing himself in the company of someone wealthy? In their tight-knit community, social standing mattered, and so did loyalty to tradition. Jack felt the pressure mounting. He loved William's connection, but could he afford to jeopardize his family's reputation? As the festival approached, heavy tension settled in. The day finally arrived, a scene brimming with color and excitement, just as it always had been. However, when a debate broke out, driven by fear and prejudice, Jack's heart ached. The townsfolk's discontent boiled over, igniting a storm. William stood tall, confronting the crowd with a fiery passion born from his past, not just his wealth, but his own struggles. He defended Jack, demanding respect for a friendship as rich in humanity as any inheritance. In that pivotal moment, the lines were drawn, the community gasping. Could 2 men from such different worlds truly connect? As William faced the heat of judgment, and Jack wrestled with his choices, the heart of Millstone trembled on the brink of transformation. What would happen next? Would their bond heal deep-seated wounds, or become another casualty of tradition? The air was thick with unresolved tension, and Jack could feel that this was only the beginning of their journey. The echoes of the crowd's gasps lingered in the air as Jack stood frozen, his mind racing. He looked at William, who appeared both confident and vulnerable. The Duke had just put himself on the line for him, and suddenly, the weight of the moment was staggering. Jack's heart pounded in his chest, torn between loyalty to his community and the unexpected kinship he found with this man. "William," Jack finally said, his voice barely a whisper, "this is more than I bargained for." "I know," William replied, his gaze steady. "But sometimes, breaking bread with someone from another walk of life is exactly how we begin to mend what's broken." Jack wanted to argue, to push back against the mounting uncertainty, but deep inside, a flicker of conviction sparked. He had lost too much sleep over what others thought. The worry etched in the faces of his friends, the quiet disdain of some neighbors, it all felt suffocating. But here was William, offering something raw and real, a sense of camaraderie that felt refreshing against the backdrop of town politics. The festival continued around them, children giggling, vendors hawking their wares, the sweet notes of a distant fiddle. Jack felt a shift. It was as if the dissonant voices faded into murmurs, replaced by the rhythm of his heartbeat synchronized with William's unwavering commitment. He caught a glimpse of Sarah in the distance, her brow furrowed, concern clouding her usual radiant smile. She approached, her hand tightly gripping his arm, and Jack could see questions dancing in her eyes. "Jack, what is happening?" "It's complicated," he admitted, stealing a glance at William. "But I think it might be good." "Good?" Sarah echoed, disbelief cloaked in concern. "You know how they LL react. They want to understand." "I don't care if they understand," Jack replied, a surge of defiance flooding his veins. "This is about more than what people think. It's about who we are and who we can be." William seemed to sense the shift. He moved closer, his presence an anchor amidst the storm. "We can bring change," he declared, his voice ringing with earnestness. "You and I, we could show them the power of connection." The crowd simmered with anticipation, the energy palpable, sparking a conversation that Jack was suddenly unafraid to engage in. A challenge set forth, one that may redefine their small town. He turned to the townsfolk, who had gathered around curiously, whispering softly and casting unsure glances. "What if you all got to know the real William?" he suggested, confidence emerging as creativity flowed through him. "Join me for a meal after the festival. Let us open our hearts and minds." The silence was heavy before the first voice piped up, skeptical but intrigued. "How do we know we can trust him?" "Trust takes time," Jack insisted, "but so does friendship. And right now, we have an opportunity to learn." As murmurs swept across the crowd, Jack felt a wave of determination wash over him. This could be a moment, the catalyst they all needed for understanding. William's eyes shone with gratitude, and Jack smiled as hope blossomed in the spaces between their uncertainty. But as night descended upon Millstone, painting the sky with a healing glow, Jack wondered if they were ready not just for a meal, but to dismantle the walls that divided them. What if this was just the beginning? In that instant, a single question shot through his mind. Would they answer the call for change? The ripple of emotions swirled around them, and Jack held his breath, bracing for what came next. The air was thick with uncertainty as the sunset dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in warm hues of orange and pink. Jack felt the weight of the crowd's gaze upon him, the whispers rising and falling like the tide. Each heartbeat crashed against his resolve, pushing him onward. What is next? He wondered, scanning the faces of his friends and neighbors. Some wore skepticism, while others seemed caught in the threads of curiosity. Sarah's grip on his arm tightened, her eyes searching for reassurance. But Jack couldn't help but feel that this, right here, was something bigger than them. "I need you to trust me," Jack said softly to her, and for a fleeting moment, he saw a flicker of understanding in her expression. Beneath the doubt, maybe there was a glimmer of hope. As the festival lights twinkled to life, illuminating smiling faces and joyful laughter, the mood began to shift. One by one, people approached, intrigued by Jack's offer. A burly man stepped forward, arms crossed, an old friend from the neighborhood. "You really think we can just sit and break bread with him? That Duke's got a whole lot of history we can't just ignore." Jack met his gaze squarely. "History can't be changed," he replied, his voice calm yet firm, "but we can learn from it. Isn't that what we teach our kids?" The man hesitated, the tension easing slightly. Maybe you're right." Encouraged, Jack turned back to the crowd, his resolve strengthening. "Let us do this together. Let us have dinner, share our stories, and see where that leads us. We owe it to ourselves to at least try." The murmurs grew, a mixture of apprehension and intrigue. Sarah exchanged a glance with Jack, and he could see she was warming to his conviction, finding strength in his sincerity. One by one, familiar faces nodded, voices rising in quiet agreement. "All right then," one woman shouted, her voice cutting through the noise. "I'll join." And another added, "Count me in." With the first sparks of unity igniting, Jack felt a rush of adrenaline. Could this truly be the shift they all needed? William stepped forward, his demeanor calm and open, ready to face the judgment that lingered over him like a dark cloud. He flashed a warm smile, extending his hand to the tentative crowd. "I want to show you who I really am. Let us share not just food, but also our stories." With that, the first invitation became a ripple effect. Jack watched as people stepped closer, curiosity piqued, willingness blooming in their eyes. The festival continued around them, but for Jack, everything else faded into the background. This was their moment. Still, a nagging fear tugged at him. Would the innocence of this trust be enough to combat the prejudices that ran deep in their town? He wished he could promise everyone that change would come easy. As they began to disperse, Jack felt exhilaration charging through him. But the shadows of doubt still flickered in his mind. Could they truly tear down the walls that separated them? Just then, he caught William's eye. A look of determination etched on his face. It mirrored Jack's own inner battle, a dance between hope and fear. In that moment, they both understood the road ahead would be filled with both challenges and breakthroughs. The din of laughter and music swelled around them. Jack felt a stirring in his heart. What if tonight really sparked something? He thought, brimming with both anticipation and apprehension. But just as the first stars began to twinkle above, a single voice rang out amid the crowd, heavy with skepticism. But what if it all goes wrong? With that question lingering in the air, Jack realized that taking the next step would mean confronting not just their fears but their realities. Would they be ready to face the truth, no matter how painful? The evening, filled with promise yet tinged with uncertainty, loomed just ahead. Jack stood there, surrounded by the colorful chaos of the festival as the laughter washed over him like a gentle wave. Yet, that lone voice of skepticism haunted him, reminding him of the risk undertaken. He took a steadying breath, feeling Sarah's warmth beside him. For every doubt that echoed through the crowd, there were also glances of hope that sparked brighter than any firework. As people began to move away, ready to share this newfound moment with William, Jack felt Sarah's fingers tighten around his arm. What if we really get to know him? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, filled with equal parts excitement and fear. That's the whole point, Jack replied, a small smile breaking through. Sometimes you have to step into unknown territory to find out what is possible. He could feel his heart pounding, a drumbeat of challenge and adventure. With William leading the way, they gathered under a large, colorful tent strung with lights that flickered against the gathering dusk. The energy felt palpable. Jack glanced around, taking in the faces of his neighbors who, just moments ago, were reluctant. Now, they were eager, many grasping plastic plates full of food, their once unsure expressions morphing into curiosity and cautious optimism. As everyone settled in, a hush fell over the group. Jack stood at the head of the makeshift table, his voice steady, though his nerves twisted like vines. "Thank you for being here," he began, locking eyes with Sarah and then scanning the crowd that had formed a little tighter around William. "This is about connection, about bridging the gap we've let grow between us." The tension in the air began to shift as William took his place beside Jack, confidence radiating from him like the warmth of the fire pit nearby. "I know my past is far from perfect, but it's made me who I am today," he said, his gaze sincere and open. "I want to share my story with you, not as a duke or a figure from the past, but as a man who has learned from his mistakes." The crowd leaned in closer, and Jack felt a flicker of hope surge within him. "Just listen," he encouraged, urging them to let curiosity outweigh their fears. As William began to speak, recounting a painful moment that had shaped him, how he had lost his family's support due to his choices, Jack saw the shift in the crowd's demeanor. People exchanged looks, shocked yet captivated. It was as if doors were starting to unlock, revealing long-buried emotions. Jack could almost hear the unspoken thoughts. "He is just like us." The stories flowed, laughter interspersed with moments of vulnerability. Jack felt a sense of camaraderie building among everyone present, a shared understanding that was unexpected yet beautiful. They weren't just neighbors anymore. They were becoming a community, woven together by the threads of shared experiences. Just then, a child's laughter broke through the poignant moments, shattering the heaviness that had begun to settle. Jack followed the sound and caught sight of a little girl running towards him, eyes wide with excitement. "Can I help too?" she asked, looking between him and William with unabashed enthusiasm. Jack couldn't help but smile at her innocence. "Absolutely. Everyone can help," he replied, inviting her into the circle. Her presence had a power of its own, reminding Jack that amidst the complexities of adulthood, the simplicity of connection through sharing remained pure. But before anyone could respond, the crowd's laughter faltered, a familiar face cutting through the warmth. A figure stepped forward, a sharp stare aimed straight at William. "You don't belong here, and we all know it." Jack's breath caught in his throat as he felt every pair of eyes turn, tension snapping like a taut rope. What would happen now? Would this moment of unity crumble under the weight of that cold challenge? In the heart of the gathering, the air turned electric, filled with uncertainty again. Could they face this challenge together, or would fear take hold once more? The answer seemed to hang right at the edge of that flickering light. Jack's heart raced, the words from the figure cutting through the night like icy wind. He'd been riding the waves of excitement and hope, and now they threatened to crash down. The crowd was alive with whispers, unease weaving like tendrils of smoke among them. William straightened, shoulders stiffening under the weight of the accusation. "I can't change the past, but I can offer something real," he said, his voice steady but strained. Jack admired his courage but feared that it might not be enough. "What do you know about our struggles?" The figure spat, arms crossed defiantly. It was Charlie, known for stirring the pot more often than not. His presence carried an electricity that compelled attention, but right now, it drew dark shadows across the warm glow of the festival. "More than you think," William replied, his gaze unwavering. "I've seen loss. I've walked through the fire, and I've burned my bridges. But I've also learned how to rebuild. Together, we can confront our weaknesses rather than hide from them." A murmur rippled through the crowd as people began to process those words. Jack looked around, searching for Sarah's face. Her eyes were fixed on William, a mix of admiration and concern. She had hoped for this connection, but would it withstand the storm? Charlie scoffed, his laughter harsh. "You're just a broken man trying to fit into a world that doesn't want you. What do you think you can offer in a town like ours?" Jack felt anger boiling up within him. He stepped forward, urgency coursing through his veins. "We all have our scars, Charlie. William may have lost his way, but he is here trying to make amends. Isn't that worth something?" The silence that followed was deafening. Almost every face turned toward him, curiosity battling skepticism. "But he doesn't belong here," Charlie pressed, a sneer on his lips. "This is our home and our community. Why should we invite someone like him into our lives?" In that moment, Jack felt a wave of clarity wash over him. "Because that's how we grow," he shouted, his voice rising above the tension. "If we shut out those who stumbled, we'll never become the people we're meant to be. We'll just be trapped in our own bitterness." Charles's expression faltered, but he quickly masked it with a scowl. Jack could sense a shift in the crowd, though. Curiosity mingled with doubt, and someone from the back shouted, "Give him a chance." Sarah caught Jack's eye, reinforcing his resolve. "This isn't just about William. It's about us learning to open our hearts. Love is about acceptance, even when it's hard." The glow of the tent was brighter now, illuminating faces filled with contemplation. Jack felt that collective hesitation melting away like ice in the sun. William stepped closer to Jack, sensing the moment of change. "I've made mistakes, and I can't erase them. But I'm here, ready to share my journey and learn with you." Jack felt a smile tug at his lips. They were at the precipice of something bigger, a moment that could redefine their community. But just as the round of murmurs began to rise in William's favor, Charlie's voice sliced through again. "What if he fails us again? What if he brings darkness instead of light?" Jack's heart sank, the veiled threat darkening the moment once more. Could they really trust William, or would hope slip away like sand through their fingers? Then, from within the crowd, a soft voice spoke up. The little girl from before, still bright and innocent. "But what if he helps us make the world better?" Her words hung in the air, simple yet profound. Hope flickered anew, but hesitation still lingered like a shadow. Jack felt the weight of the moment heavy on his shoulders. Would they embrace love and unity, or would they retreat to their fears? The path forward seemed to shimmer in the flickering glow, but the choice was theirs to make. What lay ahead would demand courage from everyone involved. But could they rise together in love, unity, or would they be torn apart by doubt? A hush fell over the crowd, the tension palpable. Jack looked into the eyes of his neighbors, searching for signs of hope and solidarity. He could tell they were wrestling with their fears. Charlie's challenge hung heavy in the air, a thunderstorm threatening to break. William stood tall, unwavering in the face of the doubt surrounding him. Jack sensed that his vulnerability was becoming a strength, and somehow that ignited a spark among the crowd. The little girl's innocent words lingered, giving each person pause. Could they really move forward? Let us not forget, another voice chimed in, an older woman from the back with tired, gentle eyes. We all go through our own struggles. No one is perfect. If we don't allow people a chance to grow, then what are we teaching our children? Her words resonated, rippling through the gathered community. Jack felt a swell of hope filling the air. One by one, faces softened, even Charlie's. The fierce stance started to waver, confusion dawning on him. Jack could practically hear hearts opening. What if William's journey and mistakes can teach us? He urged. If we don't welcome him, we're just building walls around our hearts. Charlie shifted, unease etching more deeply into his furrowed brows. The crowd stared, waiting for his reaction. Would he resist further? Or could he let down his guard too? Fine, Charlie muttered, his tone begrudging. Let us say he stays. But one wrong move, and that's it. This isn't some charity case. Agreed. William's voice was steady, but Jack saw the flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. I wouldn't expect anything less. I'm ready to earn my place. One step at a time. The sound of nodding heads and murmurs of agreement weaved through the crowd now, a tapestry of shared understanding. The glow around William warmed, making him seem less like an outsider and more like a new patch sewn onto a quilt that had worn its holes for too long. Then let us start fresh, Jack said, his heart swelling with the weight of possibility. Together, applause broke out from a small group in the front, then another joined in, until the sound grew like a wave, washing over doubt and dread. Jack felt the rhythm of unity pulsate through him, a collective belief that they could face the future together, even if it meant drawing on strength they hadn't realized they possessed. Tonight is just the beginning, he said, the energy from the crowd electrifying his words. Let us take this moment and build something brighter. For all of us. As the applause echoed around the festival tents, Sarah stepped forward, her eyes sparkling with pride for Jack. She took his hand, squeezing it gently, and he felt a rush of warmth spread through his chest. They were on this journey together. But as the crowd began to settle, a flicker of doubt crossed Jack's mind. Would William truly be able to overcome the ghosts of his past? Would society rally behind him when the first challenge arose? Suddenly, a loud crash sounded from nearby. The night sky dimmed momentarily as a shadow swept across the festival grounds. Gasps filled the air. People turned to see a plume of dust spiraling upward. What was that? Someone shouted, fear creeping into voices. Jack's heart pounded. Uncertainty clutched at him, a reality check striking hard. Had they opened their arms only to invite disaster? As the crowd shifted anxiously, Jack exchanged worried glances with Sarah. Together, with William at their side, they edged toward the source of the disturbance. What awaited them could either uplift their fragile connection or shatter it entirely. Would this night truly be a turning point in their journey, or the beginning of another struggle? The crowd murmured and shifted nervously as Jack, Sarah, and William pushed through the throngs of people drawn to the source of the commotion. The air felt thick with tension, and every heartbeat echoed in Jack's ears like a drum roll, anticipating what lay ahead. Stepping cautiously around tables still adorned with empty plates and flickering candles, they reached the edge of the festival area. A large tent had collapsed under the weight of an unseen force, its frame twisted and metal poles bent like broken limbs. A few townspeople were already at work trying to lift the fabric, their faces tight with worry. Is anyone hurt? Sarah called into the chaos. We're fine. A voice shouted back from inside the tent. Just a bit startled. Nothing we can't handle. Relief washed over Jack, but his heart remained heavy. He looked at William, who seemed both concerned and oddly uplifted by the response. The hint of a smile danced at the corners of his mouth, as though the near disaster had forged a bond among those present. See, William said, his voice low so only they could hear. They're coming together. Jack forced a grin, but immediately felt the weight of doubt settle back in. That was just luck, he said under his breath. What if this is just the beginning? Before William could respond, Charlie strode forward, eyes blazing with renewed determination. Let us get this cleaned up. If we all work together, we can have the tent up in no time. We're not going to let a little chaos ruin our night. The crowd rallied around Charlie's words. A few people jumped to grab tools, while others began folding back the fabric in an orderly fashion, their previous fear dissolving into a shared purpose. Jack felt a spark of admiration for Charlie, whose fierce spirit had shifted the atmosphere. Okay, maybe they can pull through this, Jack murmured to Sarah, who squeezed his hand reassuringly. William stepped up to join the efforts, his earlier daunt fading into something more like acceptance. He called out encouragement, praising the others, and Jack felt the shift in him. It was as if William had finally wrapped himself in the community's spirit, allowing others to embrace his imperfections. As they worked, Jack caught sight of the little girl who had first spoken up for William. She was reaching out to help, but was still too small. An older boy nearby noticed, and quickly picked her up, hoisting her above him where she pointed out where the fabric still needed to be secured. "Look at that," Jack said, awe and warmth filling his chest as he watched. "We're doing it. They're doing it. Together." But just as Jack felt hope blooming, the nearby streetlights flickered ominously, and a rumble echoed in the distance. The vibrant energy faltered, replaced with murmurs of dread. The dark shadow from before crept closer, revealing a figure emerging through the dust. Fear surged through the crowd, and hushed gasps rippled. The figure stumbled forward, wild-eyed with a mess of dirt and foliage clinging to him. It was a man Jack recognized, the local mechanic, Bert, long gone for weeks after a scandal had sent him packing. "What is happening?" Bert croaked, looking around as though he'd fallen into a dream. The crowd froze, uncertainty etched on every face. Jack's heart raced for different reasons now. Was Bert back to solve problems, or had he returned to bring a new set of challenges? "Hold on tight," he whispered to Sarah and William as tension draped over them once again. Was this an unexpected twist in their journey, or a sign that old ghosts might resurface? What would the community do next? Bert's presence sent a chill through the air, an echo of past murmurs that were still fresh in everyone's minds. People near him took a half-step back, whispers erupting like bubbles in a pot boiling over. Jack felt Sarah's grip tighten, and he turned to face her, searching for reassurance. "Is he okay?" she asked quietly, her eyes wide with concern. "He has to be," Jack replied, but even he could feel the tremor in his voice. Bert blinked, trying to shake off the dust of wherever he had been. His cheeks were sunken, and his clothes looked like they had seen better days. "I came back to," he began, his voice cracking. But whatever he had to say was lost under the low rumble growing in the background. Charlie stepped forward, his confidence now sharpened. "Bert, you left without a word. Don't just stand there, tell us what's going on." His voice rang out, but the energy had shifted from rallying around a community project to confronting a wayward brother. The crowd pulsed with mixed emotions. Some scowled, others looked concerned. But through it all, an underlying current was clear. Bert's return didn't spell disaster for the town. They craved answers. "I saw something," Bert stuttered, his eyes wide like a deer caught in headlights. "Something in the woods. I didn't know how to explain it. I thought no one would believe me. I thought it'd be safer if I just kept away." A nervous shuffle of feet accompanied his shaky admission. "What did you see?" Jack prompted, stepping forward into the gathering tension. His body felt electric, a strange combination of fear and curiosity intertwined. The excitement of the festival felt like a far-off memory now. Bert glanced back at the dark woods looming behind him, filled with secrets. "It follows you. At night. It's big, and it watches." His words seemed to hang in the air like a thick fog, threatening to envelop everyone. "Watch out," Sarah yelped, pointing as another flicker caught their attention, something shifting uncomfortably in the shadows of the trees. A chill swept through the crowd, and someone gasped. "Is it the thing that knocked the tent down?" Bert's words came out fast, panic rising in his chest. "I said we would work together," Charlie reminded the crowd, a rallying cry echoing through this new strange terror. "We can't let fear tear us apart." "No," Bert shouted, despair oozing from his every word. "You don't understand. I didn't come back to scare you. I came back to warn you." Jack shook his head slowly, trying to decipher the truth in Bert's madness. The community had united just moments ago, yet now they stood on the brink of division, straddling a line between fear and faith. Would they succumb to panic, or would they lean on each other to find strength? As the murmurs rose once more, the fear tightening its grip on the gathered crowd, Jack felt a deep, unfamiliar ache in his heart. He wanted to trust. He wanted to break through the tension, to break down barriers that fear had erected. What if Bert was right? And just then, with the next crack of thunder overhead, they heard it, a low growl, deep and resonant, echoing from the shadows. Panic surged anew, eyes darting toward the darkened trees, where the impossible seemed to stir to life. "What do we do now?" Jack whispered, his heart racing as the reality of the moment settled in heavy. Could they band together again, restore what they had just built? Or was this going to be the moment when everything unraveled? Would brotherhood reign strong enough to withstand the veil of fear? The darkness edged closer, and Jack realized that this was only the beginning of a much larger battle. Who would stand by each other at the looming possibility of an unfinished prophecy, and at what cost? What was out there, waiting in the dark, and would they confront it as a community, or would those bonds shatter the moment the real struggle began? The growl echoed around them, a reminder that the woods held more than just trees and shadows. Jack felt the pulse of fear quicken in his chest, urging him to take action, to move against the encroaching night. He glanced at Sarah, who looked back wide-eyed, the delicate hope sparkling in her gaze dimming with every second. "Bert," Jack called, fighting to keep his voice steady. "What do we do? What does it want?" Bert's expression faltered, the weight of his burden evident. "I don't know exactly. It followed me. It wants something." His voice, laced with unease, stirred something deep within Jack, a primordial instinct to protect those he loved. Suddenly, Charlie stepped into the fray, raising his voice to address everyone. "Listen, if we band together, we can face whatever is out there." His bravado resonated strength. Jack could see the glimmers of determination igniting in some of the crowd. "We'll form a search party. We can't let fear take control. We have to." Before Charlie could finish, another growl rolled through the air, louder and closer. The crowd flinched as one, the collective tension thrumming like a taut wire. Murmurs turned into panicked whispers, each individual caught in the web of uncertainty. "Maybe we should go back," someone shouted from the fringe, fear punctuating their voice. Others started nodding, retreating 2 or 3 steps, creating a ripple of unease. "No," Jack interjected sharply, clenching his fists. "We can't let it win. Bert came back to warn us for a reason. We need to stand firm." He glanced at Sarah, finding her stare anchored on his, hope intertwined with fear. "Maybe Bert saw what he saw for a reason," she whispered, her voice almost drowned out by the murmurs of the crowd. "Maybe this is our chance to figure out what it wants before it's too late." Realizing the strength in numbers, Jack took a deep breath. "All right, how about we light some torches and head into the woods? We'll go together. With light, we can face this up close and personal." Some in the crowd exchanged uneasy glances, but Charlie nodded, stepping forward. "Count me in." A few brave souls joined in to support their cause, and the rest began whispering among themselves, weighing their fears against their instincts. Jack felt the warmth of camaraderie starting to build. He pivoted and shouted, "Whoever is with us, grab some torches. Let us show whatever is out there that we're not afraid." As people began to move, Jack felt a surge of energy pulsing through the group. But beneath it lay a solid undercurrent. The fear wasn't gone, but it transformed into something else. Urgency. Sarah moved beside Jack, her determination matching his. "I'm with you. Whatever's lurking out there, we have to face it together." The group gathered what they could find, torches lit one by one, their flames flickering defiantly against the looming darkness. With each step they took forward, the shadows seemed to twist and swirl around them, pulling them deeper into the woods. "This is it," Jack murmured, as he brought the torch high. The light flickered across the trees, illuminating the path ahead. "We're going to find out the truth. Together." As they marched deeper, the growls began to shift. It was no longer just one, but a chorus of low, resonant sounds that crept through the foliage, wrapping around them in a tight embrace. Jack's heart raced, fear and resolve battling within him. What had they awakened? What haunted presence lingered just out of sight? But one thing became clear. Whatever it was, it had drawn them here, and there was no turning back. They would have to uncover the truth, regardless of the cost. And just as they reached the edge of the clearing, the growls escalated into a deafening roar. They halted, heartbeats thundering in their ears, frozen in the shadows. What lay ahead, friend or foe? Jack steadied his grip on the torch, the light wavering as a figure emerged from the murky darkness. Would it beckon them closer or send them running back into the night? The air thickened with anticipation, each person holding their breath. Automatically, Jack's eyes narrowed into the dark, ready to confront whatever truth lay before them. But in that moment, he never imagined it would be more than they ever could have anticipated. Jack stood at the edge of the clearing, pulse racing, eyes locked on the shadows. The air shimmered with tension as the creature stepped forward, its massive form illuminated by the flickering torchlight. Jack caught his breath, instincts screaming to retreat, but he held his ground. Fueled by the strength of the gathered community, the collective intake of breath echoed through the crowd as the figure emerged from the gloom. It wasn't a monster of nightmares as they had feared. Rather, a massive wolf-like creature, majestic yet fearsome, with fur that shimmered in the light like silver threads woven through midnight. "What is that?" someone gasped, dread mingling with awe. Jack swallowed hard but found his voice. "It's beautiful." The beast paused, sensing the gathering tension in the air but not appearing aggressive. Jack could feel the confusion washing over the group, the flickering lights of their torches casting soft glows that danced across the creature's fur. Bert took a step forward, his eyes widening. "It's a guardian. Legends say they've been long lost to these woods. They protect the balance of our land." Whispers rippled through the crowd, a mix of reverence and fear. "But why now?" Sarah wondered aloud, stepping closer to Jack, her hand clenched tightly around her torch. "Maybe it's here to challenge us," William spoke up, his voice steady amidst the growing unease. "To make us confront our fears, to remind us of the unity we're capable of." As if sensing William's words, the creature shifted closer, its deep gaze sweeping over those assembled. Tentatively, it lowered its massive head, an invitation rather than a threat. Jack's heart thumped wildly in his chest. Could this creature be their link to the transformation they sought? "Maybe it wants us to remember," Jack said softly, coming to understand the weight of the moment. "To remember that we are not only defined by our past mistakes, but also by our ability to rise above them." Bert nodded slowly, his face reflecting a sense of understanding that hadn't been there before. "It's a symbol of what we can overcome together." The murmurs swirled around them, a sense of unity beginning to color the air. With a deep breath, Jack took a step forward, emboldened, his eyes locked onto the creature. "We stand together. No more fear. No more division. We embrace compassion and understanding to heal us all." With that declaration, the crowd shifted, propelled by an invisible force binding them together. One by one, townsfolk stepped forward, raising their torches higher, casting warmth and light in the presence of that powerful creature. Jack could feel the energy rising, transforming fear into collective courage. The wolf-like guardian responded, arching its neck and howling into the night, a sound that reverberated with ancient echoes, weaving through the trees. "That's it," Charlie shouted, his earlier skepticism fading. "We embrace the unknown." Without hesitation, others declared their willingness to face this challenge, to confront their darkest fears, ready to shine light into the shadows. The energy swelled, each person stepping forward, welcomed by the creature's presence. Sarah, with shining eyes, pulled Jack close, her voice barely above a whisper. "You did this. You saw the light in the dark." Jack's heart soared as he turned to face the crowd, their faces aglow, unified by an unseen bond of hope. They were ready to forge a new path together. The friction of doubt melted away, replaced by a shared understanding and purpose. The guardian lowered its massive head once more, revealing something glimmering around its neck, a crystal pendant shining brilliantly in the torchlight. Jack realized that it wasn't just a creature of legend, but a harbinger of change. "Can we follow its lead?" Jack asked, stepping further into the clearing, where the air buzzed with potential. "Let it guide us forward. Let us build a future where we unite instead of divide." An overwhelming wave of agreement washed over the crowd, broken only by a unified chant, echoing through the trees, "Together, together." As the celebration of overcoming fears built momentum, the guardian seemed to settle, no longer a strange figure shrouded in darkness, but a protector of the small town's spirit. Jack could feel the change coursing through their community. It rippled like a warm current, a promise of new beginnings forged from shared experiences, ready to embrace the unknown, together, as one dot. And as the festival lights twinkled brighter, the connection within Millstone deepened, their hearts guiding them towards harmony. The power of love and understanding had started to take root, forever changing everything that had come before. As Jack looked around, hope filled his heart, igniting dreams once thought lost. They had faced fear and embraced the unknown, and that was just the beginning. With emotions swirling in their chests, Jack turned to the crowd. From darkness, we rise. From fear, we grow. Let us celebrate this moment and carry it forward. The ecstatic cheers rose in refrain, a melody of healing, of unity forged in the fires of adversity. And beyond the festival, under the watchful gaze of the Guardian, a new tale of connection, compassion, and courage was written in the heart of Millstone, a story that would echo through generations. And just like that, they had opened the door for a brighter future. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep us going strong. Comment your reactions and feelings about this, ending your thoughts matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the hope together.